Hello students, welcome to Archana's lecture. Today I shall be teaching 10th standard English 1.4 all the words of stage. Let's see about poet William Shakespeare 1564-1616 was an English poet, playwright and actor. Widely regarded as the greatest writer in the English language and the world's prominent dramatist. He is often called England's national poet and the Bard of Avon. This poem is taken from his play As You Like It. Here, he compares the world to a stage where the drama of human life is enacted. Student, William Shakespeare was one of the greatest poet and playwright in English literature. He has written his world famous tragedies Othello, Hamlet, King Lear, and Macbeth. He was born in Stratford upon Avon in England, and his famous works included Merchant of Venice, Julius Caesar, and Twelfth Night, along with many others. All the world's stage has been taken from his play As You Like It. Let's see about poem. All the world's stage and all the men and women merely players. They have their exits and their entrances, and one man in his time plays many parts, his acts being seven ages. At first, the infant, mewling and pucking in the nurse's arms, then the waning schoolboy with his satchel and shining morning face creeping like snail, unwillingly to school, and then the lover, shying like furnace, with a awful ballad, made to his mistress' eyebrow, then a soldier, full of strange oaths and bearded like the bard, jealous in honor, sudden and quick in quarrel, seeking the bubble reputation, even in the cannon's mouth, and then the justice in fair round bailey with good capon lined, with eye severe and the beard of farmer cut, full of wise saws and modern instances. And so he plays his part, the sixth age shift into the lean and sleepered pantaloon, with spectacles on nose and pouch on the side. His youthful hose will sift a world too wide for his shank and his big manly voice, turning again toward childish treble pipes and whistles in his sound. Last scene of all, and ends his strange, eventful history. His second childishness and mere oblivion. Sans teeth, sans eyes, sans taste, sans everything. William Shakespeare. So, students, in this poem, all the words are stage and all the men and women merely players. They have their exits and their entrances, and one man in his time plays many parts, and his acts being seven ages. So, in the poem All the Words Stage, the poet compares the entire world to a stage, and all human and man and woman means the all human beings, men and women, have been referred to as actors who are enacting their parts, who are enacting their parts. According to the poet, our birth, our entrances and death exits are pre-decided, and each man merely takes on different roles. Each man, many parts, plays many parts, means each person. Each man merely takes on different roles during his lifetime. Hence, seven ages. The seven stages of his time are termed as seven acts. Here, at first, at first stage, in that of infancy, it is a small child, the infant, mewling and pucking in the nurse's arm, where the baby is crying and vomiting in the arm of nurses. When the weaning schoolboy with his satchel and shining morning face creeping like snail unwillingly to school, where he has a shining morning face. The boy has shining morning face. He carrying his satchel. Satchel means a school bag, and wants to go to school. And he is reluctant. And he is reluctant to go to school, complaining all the time, carrying his school bag and going reluctantly to the school. He doesn't want to go to school. And then the lover, shying like furnace, with a woeful ballad made to his mistress eyebrow. And in this stanza, the poet is saying he is sighing like a furnace as he is in love. So, upon growing up, he takes on the role of a lover who writes love songs praising his beloved, praising his mistress eyebrow, praising his beloved. He's writing awful ballads, okay, and praising his mistress. So here he is now grown up and he is praising his beloved by writing awful ballads. Let's see the next stanza. Then a soldier, full of strange oaths and bearded, like a pard, jealous in honor, sudden and quick in quarrel, seeking the bubble reputation even in the cannon mouth. Now now he is grown up. So upon growing up, he takes on uh, you know he takes on he's having bearded like a leopard. He's having bearded like the leopard. Pard means a leopard. He's ready to take on any challenges. He's ready to take on any challenges, full of strange and bearded like the pard, because he is look like a soldier. So like soldier, he's ready to take any risk or any challenges to prove his manliness, and he's ready to fight anyone. He's ready to fight anyone, quick and quell. Okay, fight anyone. Why? Because who question his honor and wants to build a reputation for himself, however short lived, seeking the bubble reputation, however short lived, and is willing to risk even his life in the process. So being in this age, in a middle age, he become you know uh, or you can say the in third age, he has become like a soldier, young man. He's having full of enthusiastic and force. And then the justice in their round belly, with good capon lined, with eyes severe and beard of formal cut, full of wise sauce and modern instances, as so he plays his part. Now, in the fourth stage, uh, in the fifth stage, now it is the middle age. Now it is the, you can say, the middle age. Once this stage is over, and he takes on the role of a justice or middle age man. He has a fair round belly. He has a fair round belly. Okay, full of well cooked chicken. Full of full of, you can say, well cooked chicken. His eyes are severe and he has a formal cut beard. He has a formal cut beard. Okay, and how his belly is looking like? Round. He is full of wise saying, wise sauce, wise saying, as he has now experienced. He has now modern instances experienced and world experience of the world, and is and who is up to date, who is modern instances, and so he plays his part. He is up to date with everything happening around him. So in this age, what he's saying, he has lots of experience, and he is he's even grows a beard to display his manliness. He tries building a reputation for himself. However, short-lived, and is willing to risk even his life is in the process. He is full of jealousy and aggressive enough to pick up a fight to defend his honor. So once this stage is over, he takes on the role of middle-aged man. His appearance now see into the lean sleeper pantaloon. So now uh, he is full of wisdom. His appearance changed as he has a pot belly, serious eyes, and the formal cut beard, and he become mature, having gained experience in his life. Now he is full of wisdom and has lots of experience to share in the stage. So in the sixth stage, we can see he is an old man. Pantulu, old man. Okay. Now he is in sixth stage. He is old man. He is an old man. Okay. And who is forgetful and well past and prime of his life. He needs spectacles due to his weak eyesight. He needs spectacles due to his weak eyesight, and his skin hangs loosely from his body, and his pouch on side. Pouch on side. So whose skin hangs, okay, loosely from his body. He wears the trousers which he had saved from his youth, and which now doesn't fit, since his legs are very thin, because his now the legs are very lean, thin. So by this stage, he's saying that in this stage a person status is what? Become lean, wears spectacles, slippers, as well as close fitting trouser. He even carries a pouch on his side, and his big and manly voice has now turned into a soft and meek one that is weaker than a child treble. Okay. So there is all about this stanza. Let's see. Turning again towards the childish treble, pipes and whistles in his sound. His big and manly voice has now turned into a soft and meek one that is weaker than a child's treble. Now he is unable to speak very clearly because he has lost his teeth. Okay. Last scene of all that ends this stage eventful history. Finally, he enters the last stage of his life. Last scene of all that ends his strange eventful life. So finally he enters the last stage of his life. Here he has become very old. Very old, unconscious, and uh, become very old, and he is now like a child. He is like a child, second childishness. Why? Because he has lost his memory. He is dependent now. He has lost his memory and he is dependent now. It doesn't have teeth, eyesight, and taste. So, he's talking about the last stage of a person, that how in a last poem, a last stage of his life, the people get ignorance. So this all about the poem. Students, poem has beautiful devices. In this poem we can say that there is no specific rhyme scheme. You can see there is no rhyming word. So the poem is no or a specific rhyme in this poem, and but we have some examples of figures of speech. Let's see the example of figure of speech. So we can see in first stanza, all the words stage, the first line, all the words stage. It is metaphor because the poet indirectly compares the world to the stage of theater. To the stage of theater. So this is what? Metaphor. And let's see the second line. And all the men and women are merely players. So it is again metaphor because the poet indirectly compares man and women to the players of a play. So this is also a metaphor, but side by side this is also alliteration because there is a repetition of sound A. See A and A. So there is two figures of speech. Let's see the next line. They have their exit and their entrances. They have their exit and entrances. Let's see the third line. It is again metaphor because the poet indirectly compares life with what? Death and exist, death and birth. Okay, death and life. Okay, exits and entrances. So it is compared indirectly with the life and death. Again alliteration we can view in this line, the sound of the letter E. Okay, E has been repeated twice. So, and one man in his time plays many parts. One man in his time plays many parts. Again, this line is showing alliteration. Which sound has been repeated? P. P. Okay, plays and parts. And this line is also inversion because it is not written in correct way. And the man and one man plays many parts in his time. This is the correct way of writing. So this is inversion. Let's see the second line. At first the infant mewling and pucking in the nurse's arm. Mewling and pucking in the nurse's arms. So this is onomatopoeia. This the word mewling. Okay. So mewling denotes the sound of the cry of an infant. Pucking. So this line indicates onomatopoeia, figure of speech. Then the weaning school boy with his satchel. Next line we can see again onomatopoeia, weaning denotes the sound of a school boy's whine. Okay. Alliteration also we can see in this line, W and S sound. W and S sound has been repeated. Creeping, like snail, like as so, indicates which figure of speech? Simile. Okay, direct comparison between snail and schoolboy. Snail and schoolboy. Okay, alliteration also is there. S sound has been repeated. Snail, shining. So this is what alliteration figure of speech. And then the lover shine like furnace. Again, like word has come. So this is direct comparison between lover's deep breath with furnace, with like furnace. So there is again which figure of speech denotes? Simile. Yes, shine. Shining was onomatopoeia, denotes the sound of lover's sigh, that is similar to that of furnace. So this line indicates onomatopoeia figure of speech. Students, there is a transferred epithet. The epithet what? Awful. Awful has been transferred from the lover to the ballad. To the ballad. That's why there is transferred epithet figure of speech. We have alliteration also in this line. W sound. Okay. See, with and W. Awful has been repeated in this line. That's why this is alliteration again. Make to his mistress eyebrow. Make to his mistress eyebrow. Alliteration. MM sound has been repeated. Then see, then a soldier full of strange oaths and bearded like the pard. Okay, so this line indicates simile. Like word has come, like direct comparison between soldier and leopard. Okay, so soldier and leopard. The beard of the soldier and compared with the that of leopard. So there is simile. Jealous in honor, sudden and quick in quell. Next line we can see. This line indicates alliteration again. The sound of the letter Q, quick and quell, has been repeated for the poetic effect. Seeking the vowel repetition. This is what? Even in the cannon's mouth. This line indicates, students, metaphor. The poet indirectly compares danger to the cannon's mouth. So this figure of speech is metaphor. Now see, students, this line is having one more figure of speech, that is hyperbole. The need to build a reputation has been exaggerated, by eating that in order to build a reputation, a person would be willing to face even death. So this line indicates one more figure of speech, that is hyperbole. So students, this all about the poem. Now read the poem and just get the glossary, vocabulary side by side, and I hope you understood this poem. If you have any doubt, ask me again. Thank you so much.